For most people, Costco is just another place to buy groceries. A warehouse filled with oversized cereal boxes, bulk paper towels, and shopping carts that somehow always end up fuller than expected. It doesn't look revolutionary, it doesn't feel luxurious, and it certainly doesn't look like one of the most sophisticated businesses ever built. In fact, almost everything about Costco seems backwards. The stores are plain, the shelves are industrial, products are displayed on shipping pallets instead of elaborate displays. Employees are paid more than many of their competitors. The company spends almost nothing on traditional advertising, and one of its most famous products, a hot dog and a drink, has remained $1.50 for decades. By every rule of modern retail, none of this should work. So why does it? Because hidden behind those concrete floors and towering warehouse shelves is a business model so carefully engineered that competitors have spent decades trying to copy it, and almost all of them have failed. The strange part is, most people think Costco's greatest strength is low prices. It isn't. The prices are only the bait. The real product Costco sells is something far more valuable, and once you see it, you'll never look at the company the same way again. Every morning before the sun rises over cities across North America, something remarkable begins to happen. Parking lots start to fill. Forklifts weave between towering shelves. Employees prepare warehouses the size of football fields. Families arrive with empty trunks. Restaurant owners, contractors, teachers, retirees, small business owners, all waiting for the doors to open. Not because they have to, because they choose to. That choice is what makes Costco extraordinary. Unlike almost every other retailer on earth, Costco asks customers to do something that sounds almost absurd. Before they buy a single item, they pay for permission to shop there. Think about that for a moment. Imagine your local grocery store asking for an annual membership before you could walk through the front door. Most retailers wouldn't survive that decision. Costco built an empire around it. Today, tens of millions of households willingly pay every year for that privilege, not because they enjoy paying membership fees, but because they believe those fees unlock something worth far more than the price they paid. That belief is the foundation of everything Costco does. But to understand why it works, we first have to forget almost everything we think we know about retail. Most companies compete by trying to sell you more products, more choices, more promotions, more brands, more convenience. Walk into a typical supermarket and you'll find aisle after aisle packed with options. Dozens of cereal brands, hundreds of snacks, countless varieties of nearly everything. The assumption is simple. More choice creates more sales. Costco ignored that assumption completely. Instead of stocking over 100,000 products like many traditional retailers, Costco carries only a small fraction of that number. Every item has to earn its place. Every product is carefully selected. Every square foot of warehouse space is expected to generate value. To most retailers, that sounds like a limitation. To Costco, it's an advantage. Fewer products mean larger orders. Larger orders mean stronger negotiating power with suppliers. Stronger negotiating power leads to lower prices, and lower prices reinforce the one thing Costco values above almost everything else: trust. Because Costco doesn't need customers to believe every item is the cheapest. It only needs them to believe that shopping there is almost always the smarter decision. That trust becomes incredibly difficult to break, and once customers trust the system, they stop questioning individual prices. They simply keep coming back. Which raises another question. If Costco intentionally limits its profits on the products it sells, where does the money actually come from? Because running warehouses this large isn't cheap. Paying employees well isn't cheap. Selling famous products at razor-thin margins certainly isn't cheap. So why would any company willingly build a business this way? At first glance, it feels irrational, almost like Costco discovered a loophole no one else noticed. But the deeper you look, the more you realize that every strange decision is connected. The plain warehouses, the limited selection, the oversized packaging, even the famous $1.50 hot dog. None of them exist by accident. They're all pieces of a much larger system. A system that doesn't just encourage customers to spend money, it encourages them to renew, because somewhere along the way, Costco stopped thinking like a retailer and started thinking like something entirely different. A subscription business disguised as a warehouse store, and that realization changes everything. Most people believe Costco's business begins when a customer walks through the front door. It doesn't. It begins the moment they decide to renew their membership. That single decision changes everything, because once a customer has already paid to shop at Costco, they don't just want to save money, they feel compelled to. Psychologists call this the sunk cost effect. Once we've invested in something, we naturally want to justify that investment. Costco doesn't need to remind members they paid an annual fee. Members remind themselves. Every trip to the warehouse becomes another opportunity to get their money's worth. Without realizing it, customers begin changing their own behavior. Instead of asking, "Should I shop at Costco?" they start asking, "What else can I buy while I'm already here?" That subtle shift is incredibly powerful, because Costco isn't competing for one purchase. It's competing for habit, and habits are much harder for competitors to steal. This is why Costco can afford to do something that seems completely irrational. Unlike many retailers, Costco intentionally limits how much profit it makes on the products it sells. Walk through the warehouse and you'll find televisions, electronics, furniture, clothing, fresh food, even jewelry. Yet the company often earns surprisingly little on many of those individual sales. At first glance, that sounds like terrible business. But that's because we're looking at the wrong number. The product isn't the profit center, the membership is. Imagine two businesses. One depends on convincing you to buy something every single week. The other only needs to convince you to renew once a year. Which business do you think sleeps better at night? That predictable stream of membership revenue gives Costco something many retailers never have: stability. It can survive thinner margins because it isn't relying on every single item to generate maximum profit. Instead, every low price becomes another reason to renew. Every great deal strengthens the relationship. Every positive shopping experience quietly reinforces the value of membership. One decision feeds the next, again and again and again. But there's another piece of the puzzle, one that's hiding in plain sight. Walk into a traditional supermarket and you'll find choice everywhere. 10 brands of ketchup, 20 brands of cereal, entire aisles filled with products that do almost the exact same thing. More options feel like better service. Costco disagrees. Instead of overwhelming customers with endless choices, it removes them. A typical Costco carries only a fraction of the products found in a conventional grocery store. That isn't because Costco can't stock more. It's because it chooses not to. Every item competes for a place on the shelf. If it doesn't deliver exceptional value, it disappears. This creates an unexpected advantage. By purchasing enormous quantities of fewer products, Costco gains extraordinary negotiating power. Suppliers know that earning shelf space inside Costco can mean selling millions of units. That leverage allows Costco to negotiate prices many competitors simply can't match. The customer sees a bargain, the supplier sees massive volume. Costco strengthens the relationship with both. everyone wins. At least, that's how it appears. Then there's Kirkland's signature. At first, it looks like any other store brand, another generic label designed to offer a cheaper alternative. But Kirkland isn't trying to be the cheapest. It's trying to be trusted. Many Kirkland products are produced by manufacturers that also make premium national brands. The difference isn't necessarily quality, it's branding. Over time, members stopped seeing Kirkland as the budget option. For many products, it became the preferred option. Think about how unusual that is. Most private labels exist because customers are willing to sacrifice quality for price. Kirkland succeeded because customers began believing they didn't have to sacrifice either. That's an incredibly difficult reputation to build, and an even harder one for competitors to copy. By now, a pattern should be starting to emerge. The memberships, the limited selection, the negotiating power, the private label. None of these ideas are revolutionary by themselves, but together, they create something far more powerful. A system, one carefully designed to make every part of the business strengthen every other part. Which raises perhaps the biggest question of all. If Costco's strategy is so visible, if every competitor can walk through the same warehouses, study the same shelves, read the same financial reports, then why hasn't anyone truly replicated what Costco has built? Because the answer has almost nothing to do with groceries and everything to do with human behavior. If Costco's strategy is so obvious, why hasn't everyone copied it? After all, there's no secret patent protecting warehouse clubs, no revolutionary technology hidden beneath the concrete floors, no algorithm that only Costco can access. Competitors can study every aisle, walk every warehouse, read every annual report. On paper, the blueprint is right in front of them, and yet, very few have managed to recreate what Costco has built, because the real advantage isn't any individual decision. It's the discipline to make thousands of decisions that all support the same goal. Most companies eventually break their own system. They raise prices to improve quarterly profits. They expand product selections to chase more customers. They cut employee benefits to reduce costs. Every decision looks reasonable on its own, but over time, those decisions begin pulling the business in different directions. Costco has spent decades doing something much more difficult, saying no. No to unnecessary products, no to excessive markups, no to expensive store designs, no to chasing every short-term opportunity. Every decision strengthens the same foundation, member trust. And trust is far more valuable than any single sale. Perhaps nothing represents that philosophy better than one simple meal, a hot dog and a drink, for $1.50. For decades, inflation has driven prices higher almost everywhere: housing, gasoline, healthcare, groceries, restaurants. Yet somehow, inside Costco, the price barely moved. Financially, it doesn't make much sense. The company could easily charge more. Most customers would still buy it. So why keep the price the same? Because the hot dog was never just lunch. It became proof. Proof that Costco keeps its promises. Every member who walks past that food court sees the same message. If we refuse to change this, what else are we refusing to compromise? The hot dog became something far more powerful than a menu item. It became marketing without ever looking like marketing. That same philosophy extends beyond food. Costco pays employees more than many competitors. At first, that seems expensive until you consider the alternative. Retail has long struggled with high employee turnover, hiring, training, replacing workers over and over again. Those costs are enormous. Costco chose a different path. Pay people well, keep experienced employees, build a culture where workers actually stay. Members notice, longtime employees know the warehouses, they know the products, they know the customers. That consistency creates a shopping experience that competitors often underestimate. Because while anyone can lower prices for a weekend, building trust over decades is much harder. And that's the pattern hidden throughout the entire company. The warehouse isn't designed to impress you. It's designed to eliminate waste. The limited product selection isn't a weakness, it's leverage. Kirkland's signature isn't just a private label, it's a trust signal. The hot dog isn't really about food, it's a promise. Even the membership fee, the very thing that seems like a barrier, is actually the glue holding the entire system together. Every piece reinforces every other piece. Remove one, and the system becomes weaker. That's why copying Costco is so difficult. Competitors often imitate individual tactics. Few commit to the entire philosophy, because systems require patience, and patience is difficult when every quarter brings pressure for immediate results. Costco optimized for decades, not months. So what is Costco actually selling? It's not groceries, not televisions, not furniture, not rotisserie chickens. Those are simply the products that fill the warehouse. The real product is confidence. Confidence that prices are fair. Confidence that quality is consistent. Confidence that membership is worth renewing year after year. That confidence keeps millions of people coming back, long before they decide what they're going to buy. And once you understand that, Costco stops looking like a retailer. It starts looking like one of the most successful subscription businesses ever created, disguised as a warehouse. The companies that change industries rarely succeed because they have the best product. They succeed because they build systems that are incredibly difficult to copy. Anyone can imitate a hot dog. Anyone can copy a warehouse. Anyone can launch a membership program. But recreating decades of trust, discipline, and consistency is something else entirely. Costco didn't win because it broke the rules of retail. It won because it rewrote them.